Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, there is just 2 more stops to go on the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge Series as we head to the famed location of the Hendricks Air Force Base that trained pilots during the Second World War between 1941 and 1946. And it is Sebring International Raceway that hosts the penultimate round this season. Hello everybody, welcome along to Racing X Broadcast Network as you join Alex Goldschmidt and Marshall Crocker once again. Let's first of all keep you up to date with what is going on. Well, let's say that everyone loves Sebring because we have 80 GTP cars. We also have another 5 LMP2s, so it seems like they've made their choice on what cars they're going to be racing tonight. Let's enjoy the venue for this penultimate round series. Sebring International Raceway, back in December of 1950, measures just 3.74 miles and 17 corners. It is the home of the 12 Hours of Sebring, the 1,000 kilometers of Sebring back in the early days of World Endurance Championship. It is twisty, it is technical, it is undulating, it is flatter than a Dutch pancake, but it is still going to be a great circuit racing. Also, the fact that the tarmac variation is going to maybe catch a few people out, but you never know. But nevertheless, do have Marshall Crocker behind the scenes. Marshall, whilst I get my mic sorted, please enlighten the people of how the scores on the doors are looking at the moment at this penultimate round of the series.
It would be my pleasure, and yeah, like you're saying, penultimate round. We're almost at the finish line of what's been a really fun, really action-packed Prototype Challenge series, and in both classes, it is all to play for. In the GTP category, he's leading this class like he's doing in one other, and him's very close to doing so on Monday. He'll have a chance on Monday, Will Brock Morris, to win the GT3 title just the same way as he's leading the Next Gen NASCAR Championship. He has a chance to sweep the FMA ranks in all 3 titles. He leads over Anthony Jenkins by just 6 points. Coming into Sebring, of course, again, we have our finale next week. Look forward to everything being settled in a double-point finale, so that gives you an idea just how close 6 points may be to decide that class's title. Jay Davis isn't too far out of the woodwork, and his consistency, his full appearance through the entire calendar, hasn't missed a race, and he's been strong in the top 5 all year. Davis sits just over 20 points behind. Chase Matsko and Brian Scott have both had great seasons. They just haven't had quite the consistency to be up towards the sharp end. They're in 4th, 5th. Sorrentino, Ryan Peters, Faraz Ibrahim, Evan Gilmet, and Zach Tankersley round off the GTP grid. Where in the LMP2 class, well, Alex, it does not get closer than Gustavo Ferraro and Decio Lima, the teammates, 4 points apart. Eshelman returns tonight after his 1-week absence, and he's got something to chase. Now finds himself 12 points down in the title fight. He's led most of the season. Mike Congizzoni's been dominant, but he hasn't made the full year, so he's tied with Broughton Jones for 4 and 5 in the championship. Maceo Arroyo, Aaron Sanford, B.A. Anderson, who's actually racing in the GTP class tonight. Brandon Anderson swapping over here in round 11. Matt Mars and Jody Nielsen round out your order in both championship fights. Plenty to play for coming down the wire here.
Yes, indeed, Marshall, and hopefully my mic is sounding a little bit less better than what it was earlier on. I think the volume switch was turned down a little bit low, so no one could hear me. But we are set and ready for 60 minutes of racing here at Sebring International Raceway for the penultimate round of the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge Series for GTP and LMP2s. So I can definitely hear that my mic is. I'm going to turn the volume down a couple of notches, but I hope you can all hear me now and clear. I hope you can too as well, Marshall. Let's take you through the starting order of the FMA Prototype Challenge Series here at Sebring International Raceway for the penultimate time. It is going to be Alex Berry and Anthony Jenkins on the front row of the grid. Brian Scott and Brock Morris back in action. It's good to see the two caddies back on the grid. They round out row number 2. Eduardo Sales, a new entrant for this round, joined by the star-spangled banner that is Chase Matsko in the 26 Porsche. Faraz Ibrahim and Brandon Anderson, BA, rounds out row number 4. Sasha Andrich and Breno Lopez, who picked up a P2 last week, rounds out your overall top 10. Michael Odell and Jay Davis round out row 6. Aaron Hatter and John Daniels round out the, well, we've got here Aaron Hatter and Mike Gonzoni because everyone's getting underway here. Let's have a look at row number 8 whilst we're at it. Decio Lima and John Houston round out that row, so looks like a Vortex 1-2 in time qualifying in the LMP2. Side of things, Gustavo Ferraro and the returning Jeremy Escherman round out row number 9. Row 10, it's John Daniels and Curtis Koeniger that complete the overall top 20, ending row number 10. Cody Deek and Ryan Peters round out row 11. And then PJ Wentline and Jacob Williams. Those are the last 2 cars on this 24-car grid. We're set and ready here, just 70 miles south of Orlando, to get things going here. And one more race to go, Marshall. Can't wait until the double points finale because no one is out of the woods quite yet.
It's most certainly true, and what I'm so excited about is this injection of talent we've had in the late portion here of the season. The name that comes to mind for me, Alex Berry, has just shaken this series up the same way he's done so on Mondays. His flat-out raw pace, he kind of provides something we talked a lot about, Alex, that we needed more of here in the top of these title fights, is other drivers that could play a role, that could be a threat to take wins off these other players that are, you know, Morris and Jenkins and GTP, and then an LMP2, Eshelman, and kind of the Vortex Racing team as a whole. But we finally have that. You know, Barry's going to play a part tonight. Obviously, Gizzoni's going to play a role. John Houston was very fast last week before he went out with an issue. I just love to see that we got some contenders tonight that are going to put cars in between Morris and Jenkins. And then, of course, the LMP2 title battle. He's going to play an important role. And keep an eye there as well on Brian Scott, who's going to split our Championship 2 in the GTP class tonight up front. P2 is Jenkins, P4 is Morris, and don't forget, it is only a 6-point advantage, is it, from Morris back to Jenkins. Anthony Jenkins has a huge opportunity here tonight, and I'm very curious to see how aggressive he goes on the attack here off the start, or if his approach is, I can come second to Barry, I can play it safe, I just need to finish ahead of that 0-5 Cadillac.
There's playing it safe, but then there's going for glory, and I can bet you anything that Anthony Jenkins will not want to sit behind Alex Berry in that 083 Ferrari 499P. There you see our reduced LMP2 field, but a lot of people deciding to go for the GTPs. Of course, we've got a nice little bit of variety. We've got the Ferrari, we've got the Cadillac, we've got the Porsche, we've got the BMW. We haven't got the Acura because obviously Anthony Sorrentino was known for running in the Acura ARX 06, but he switched to Ferrari. That has paid dividends, but down Almond Straight go our field. Oh. Sebring is always a scary proposition, but it is one of those tracks that does need to be respected. As Cody Deek, who on his debut last time out at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari last week at Imola, didn't have the best of running, but the pace car is going to bring us through turn number 17 with bumpy, undulating, sweeping right that brings us onto the start-finish straight. Lights out on the pace car as Berry and Jenkins on the front row. Scott, Morris, Sales, Matsko, Anderson, Ibrahim, Lopez and Andrich. That's your top 10. Here we go. We're green here for 60 minutes at Sebring for the penultimate round of the FMA Prototype Challenge Series, as Alex Berry already gets the jump on Jenkins. But look at this. Oh, there's going to be a dive bomb and a half by Brian Scott through at T1.
Oh, Jenkins!
Oh, no!
Into Morris!
Jenkins gets tagged. Oh, no, he gets tagged. And that is going to make that car is going to handle like an absolute pig, as it's a free-for-all. And then Jenkins has got a meatball. Jenkins did not need that at this point in the series.
Heartbreaking for Jenkins. He's one of the only driver tonight who we have the on-board for, and heartbreak there to start his night in what is going to be such an important title battle down the line. His chance to build a gap, his chance to close that gap into the finale goes up in smoke. Unbelievable there. We're going to replay in a moment, but Brock Morris, he's continuing on, and at least visibly, that car's somehow fine after he ran right into the back of the spinning car of Jenkins there.
Yeah, and I think also Breno Lopez, or was it? No, it's Eduardo Sales that was actually in the mix on that one. So big drama as Jeremy Eshelman goes wheel to wheel with Gustavo Ferraro. He's going to put it to the outside of the Brazilian, and Ferraro says, no, you don't. You're not getting past me like that. And now we know, considering the fact that Vortex Racing Brazil with Sales, Ginzoni, Lima and Ferraro, well, they all got a podium with Maicon Ginzoni winning the race. Breno Lopez side by side with the Cadillac of BA Brandon Anderson, as here comes Morris with a big lick of speed, and he's up the inside heading down the Almond Straits. But drama already. But let's not forget, folks, Anthony Jenkins is not out of the wilderness yet, but we've had no Ryan Peters, no PJ Wentline, but Jenkins towed, and that means he is going to have to sit and wait. Let's pick this apart. So Jenkins nearly got his nose cut off by Alex Berry, and then there's the contact, and all of a sudden it's like Pinball City through T1.
Yeah, you can see his steering kink. His damage was massive, and somehow Brock Morris largely avoids it. We're on the chopper camera here. I want to see exactly what happens on it. So he gets a crazy wiggle of oversteer. He had no stability on the brakes in, and then Breno Lopez. It's hard to tell.
No, it wasn't Breno Lopez. It was Eduardo
Sales.
It was Eduardo Sales. So Sales made 2 places and got the launch. I mean, look, he's going to come steamrolling in with a big lick of speed. And then, bang, there's the contact. And Jenkins, well, the rear end's a complete oversight. It starts crabbing, and I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen in this race now, because that has just thrown the cat amongst the pigeons.
How did Brock Morris get out of this unscathed? When that incident happened, he dropped to P12. He's back to P4 already. Nobody's spinning. He's just making moves back through the field. Unbelievable recovery from Brock in only a lap and a half, and that's just one of those moments where you think, okay, maybe if they both get hit, if they both get tangled and take damage, maybe we're talking about a battle that, you know, gets even closer, and maybe it would have been crazy to say includes Jay Davis, because Jay Davis not involved in that wreck. He still had a long race to go. Might have been an opportunity for him, but somehow Morris stays in this race and will fight another day. Just unbelievable the way such a similar incident where 2 cars hit each other can result in such different damage.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, you know, we've seen Morris and Jenkins go toe-to-toe for the first 8 weeks of the series, knocking 7 shades of Shinoda out of each other, swapping victories more times than musical chairs at a birthday party, and now we get to that fulcrum, that sort of like that litmus test, whereby is everything going to work out okay? And what has happened? Jenkins is on the receiving end, so now I'm going to have a look at the live timing. He's called it quits. He's decided, you know what, I think he's going to feel very, very aggrieved about that, because I'm just checking the Discord server as we speak. And I think I would say if my name was Anthony Jenkins right now, I would feel very, very aggrieved about what has just happened.
Yeah, there's an element of, I think you need to be sort of a fly on the wall to understand the championship picture in a sense. And at such a high speed, I'm not, there's no accusing Eduardo Salas necessarily of anything or anything with that lens, but it's just one of those things that I think as a driver, it can be easy to get in your head and kind of, you boil the championship picture down. Everybody else leaves your peripheral other than you and Brock. And Sala is kind of getting his nose under there. Really strong start. I know Jenkins has that moment on the brakes. He's probably looking outside. He's trying to protect from Brock, who's on his outside there just to make the corner. Doesn't notice the car to his inside. There's only so much you can process as a racing driver. We know he's got the hardware to do it as Jenkins. We can see his awesome setup every time we put his camera up, but just a heartbreaking moment. And it's one that if that happens in week 2 here, Alex, you're not losing too much sleep over it. It's a long season. When it happens week 11 of a title battle and you watch your title rival drive off into the distance, those are the ones that'll keep you up at night.
Yeah, and it's going to hurt. It really is going to hurt. My heart goes out to Anthony Jenkins at the moment, because he did everything what he felt was right, bearing in mind on the situation. So obviously, at the end of the day, we've got to. We've already picked up out at the start, so we're going to leave that as water under the bridge. But we are now 6 minutes into this race, and well, Jeremy Eshelman did have a bit of a 2 and 8 with Gustavo Ferraro, but he's currently sitting in 4th position. He just needs to finish both races, and I think the job might be done and dusted. But let's just say never, especially when it comes to double points of all places, Watkins Glen.
No, it's going to be fascinating. That's going to be a battle and a half. So many overtaking opportunities, but long race ahead of us in order to get there. And the guy starting it off the way he's done so really every race he's raced since he joined FMA, Alex Berry, that lead up front, already up to 3.2 seconds over Brian Scott, who's off to a pretty heck of a good start there. Brandon Anderson, your old pal BA, he's now starting to track down Brock Morris, a guy that seemed to just have endless recovery pace after his incident. Morris now getting tracked down by a gentleman. I pointed it out to you before the race today, Alex. He was darn fast. Was that double 001 car in the pre-race. Looked really good in the warm-up start. I'm curious to see what he can do once he gets the parasail under him. And already an off-track slowdown incident for Eduardo Salas, who just had to serve one, lost a couple seconds. Now Brock Morris, I think, going to fade to the inside, maybe show defense, maybe just trying to break the slipstream on the very fast 001.
Yeah, and that's difficult, especially when you're going down the Almond Straight and heading into Sunset Bend. You can see the undulation from the back end of the Cadillacs as Brandon gets very close to the wall coming out of Sunset Bend. But in these GTPs, you've really got to push the limit of adhesion and also the limit of what the car is capable of, as we are now on to lap number 5 and the fastest lap of the race. No surprises, our race leader Alex Berry in the 083 Ferrari. As Anderson closes in on Morris, the gap between them is negligible at best, half a second. And it's great to see that a lot of the drivers that we've seen through the majority of this FMA Prototype Challenge Series here, Marshall, is that a lot of them have decided, well, you know what, we want to step it up. We want to go to GTP. And I'm glad to see that some of them are having a go, including Brandon and a few others as well. So, I have to give a shout out to Faraz and Curtis down in 10th and 11th. Try and get my words out the right way this time. They are holding the fort. As there we see a very different livery there from Curtis. We've normally seen a bit of bright, a bit of Technicolor, and he's got a bit matte grey on us this week.
It almost looks like a stormtrooper armor from Star Wars. It's got a bit of a military uniform simpleness to it. I kind of like it. But yeah, great to shout out Koeniger, because we've been talking and we've been watching as he tries to improve. He gets more comfortable with the car. He's off to a pretty clean, easy start so far in this new contest, doing well to keep in the pack. Eshelman has gone off track. It looks on my telemetry that he's had a moment here with John Houston, the guy we were talking about him being in a battle with. Now Houston, Vicksburg native, in that fluorescent orange car in front of him. Let's see what went on there on the Racer Nexus replay. Side by side, it would appear Eshelman has the slight advantage, leans inside. It'll throw the defensive block on the outside. Houston dives it up the inside, locks up the brakes. Both cars go around. And again, these championship contenders, you got to remember the big picture, but it's one of those moments. Again, it's not on Eshelman, but I always tell it to guys. I actually had a conversation with the driver about this today. You can get in a wreck, and it could be the other guy's fault. But if even 10% of you could have done something different to defend or to foresee an incident before it happens, try to avoid it if you're in a championship fight. Just right there, one of those moments that little stuff like that, if that's a little more high speed, Alex, that can be what takes Eshelman entirely out of a title fight that he already lost the lead in after missing last week.
Yeah, it's always that woulda, coulda, shoulda situation. No matter how it's played out, cannot change the past. As we ride on board with Sasha Andrich has now brought the Grello paintwork from Manthey over to a 963 hybrid, and boy does that car look good. And Sasha also one that has been well, he's a good friend of Alex Berry's anyway, and was cheering him on when Alex stormed to victory by over 25 seconds at Imola. And already we are now into minute number 11 of the race, and he's already 3.7 seconds ahead of Brian Scott, who I have to say, as Mr. Deek trying to engage a gear, gets passed by one of the other LMP2 drivers. But we were seeing it. We were seeing it last week of how Berry just went and ran away with it, because we didn't have Scott, Jenkins. Well, we didn't have Morris, we didn't have Jenkins, but Ryan Scott absolutely capitalised on the misfortune of others and just wound the engine up to volume number 11. The man from Spanish Fort finds himself in P2, and he's got a big advantage over Edward Salas, who at the moment, touch wood, it's quite substantial desk I've just knocked on underneath my hand here where I am at the moment. But Breno Lopez, could the Brazilian from Vortex Racing be looking for a second successive podium in a row? It could be possible, but it just depends on how the next 3/4 of an hour play out.
Well, certainly one of his Vortex Racing teammates is. We talked about Eduardo Salas and his part in that incident at the beginning with Jenkins, but since that early moment that, again, I wouldn't necessarily put on the 22 car in any meaningful way, he's had great pace. He's driving consistent low 150s, which seems to be about the mark. The elite drivers of the night, they're going to drive in the 149s. Alex Berry and Brian Scott currently the only two on track to do it. Be the fastest laps of the race thus far. Some guys will dip into the 149 territory, including the very speedy Michael O'Dell tonight. Wasn't run too many races in FMA, at least not that I've been a part of, but gosh darn, he's running good lap times right now. But 150 is going to be the consistent pace mark for a lot of these drivers. If you can run 150s tonight, keep yourself out of trouble. You are as in play for the top 5 as anybody. That's what Eduardo Sala is doing right now.
Yeah, and I have to give a shout out to Anthony Jenkins, who's just got in the YouTube chat, and he said, not how I wanted to lose it, had 7 minutes required repairs. Anthony, buddy, our heart goes out to you, but we know for a fact you're going to be fighting with the Eye of the Tiger next week at the Watkins Glen double points finale. So even though Brock Morris is P4, it really ups the ante for next week, because even Morris is not safe, and that is saying something. You put a double points finale on the schedule, well, you've just added gasoline to that fire, my friend, and that is what we're going to see here on Racer Nexus. Big thank you to everyone that's watching at the moment. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also keep that notification bell on. We are also on Instagram, so you'll find some wonderful reels from time to time showcasing some of the action, including some of the action that we've had here on FMA Prototype Challenge with either mine or Marshall's dulcet tones on the mic. But Gustavo Ferraro, you know, he's okay, yes, it's not the biggest LMP2 field today, but it is still ultra competitive.
He's in the top half of the LMP2 field. That's all you can ask for right now.
Yes.
Holding on to the podium, and what is it right now in the top 3 in LMP2? It's another Vortex sweep like we saw last week. Of course, last week there were some other contenders. John Houston became a factor there late, so nothing is signed until the end. But you make a great point about the double points finale there in reference to Anthony. It happened to him this week, who's to say it can't happen to Brock next week? I don't want to wish anything in the world. I don't want to have commentators jinx, but there's always a chance with that double point format. You never are truly out of it until you're until the fat lady sings and the championship's over. And to the credit of Mr. Anthony Jenkins, he won the season opener over in a pass, picking off Brock Morris at the end. It's always nice to do a championship sandwich. You win the first race, you win the last race, you go away with the most optimism of anybody for the next season. He's a guy I heard this week, Anthony Jenkins. He's looking to return to the Monday night FMA GT3 series, where he is, as of this moment until Monday night, the reigning defending champion. So he's got good prospects in the future. He might even be a part of that GTP GT3 series that I believe will become the new version of Prototype Challenge. Maybe the reason a lot of drivers have switched from the LMP2 to GTP, trying to find a new car for that next. But I have optimism for Anthony Jenkins, and I hope he's going to give us, and I know he will, a fight for the ages in the finale at Watkins no matter what.
Okay, right. This says it all about the modus operandi and the state of mind of Anthony Jenkins. Just loaded a test session at Watkins, will fight to the end. That says to me, Brock Morris, watch out for next week because there's fire and brimstone coming your way. Distracted Dad Gaming saying double points next week, anything can happen. Hate I'm missing this one. Son had practice. Priorities. Completely understand. I'm trying to remember whose handle that is anyway. But it is. Oh, it might be Anthony Sorrentino, possibly. Family does get in the way of racing. But John Daniels is another new entrant, and he's currently running in P9, and that's a very, very brightly liveried Ferrari 499P, a bit of chrome red. Oh, and as I say that, he goes, John, there's no Joker lap, I'm afraid. And look at that for a,
look at that.
that was coming out of Bishop Bend going into Gender Bean, and he completely goes sideways, and I'm like, what the dickens?
Oh my goodness, Brock Morris down pit road. Only 17 minutes into the contest. Rare, he's the first one to pit on any given day. He's actually having internet issues as well. Those have been kind of popping up the last couple of weeks for him. I wonder, Alex, is this to address damage, any lingering damage from that early contact with Jenkins?
Yes, that is the $64,000 question that we need answering. As the man from Lapeer, Michigan, he's got the car up on the jacks. Well, let's just say we have seen in the last few rounds actually, where people have been pitting, that they're doing a double pit stop. So I'm wondering if more. No, that actually that was a 21.85 on his marks in the pit lane. So I think that may have been a possible strategic scheduled service. As Curtis Koenig, the luck for the Canadian does not continue, and he's just towed it to pit road.
See what happened here for the 111 car. Just missed it on the brakes. That is a tough corner there because there are bumps on the outside piece of that outside curbing that you're trying to like round the corner out. You're trying to take that wide apex. So you hit that piece of curbing, you get a little bit unsettled. It looks like a little bit of that, and just a pretty typical front lock there for Koenig, who's having such a good start. He's doing a really good job there, getting in more of a rhythm. Again, still coming to terms. He's keeping with the pack there quite a few laps into this race, and good news there. He's the only BMW V8 hybrid driver in this series. Has been pretty good all year as an unfortunate owner of the BMW V8 hybrid. Very happy to see in the iRacing development blog today, it's finally getting the free upgrade to the Evo rendition. It will become the first Evo hybrid car in the new GTP fleet to have that new upgrade. Same way it was the first car in the modern GTP when it debuted, which means finally my purchase from 3 years ago will have a little bit of value as Jacob Williams goes off track at LMP2.
Yep, as BA goes into pit lane. So it's going to be out of turn 1, and he's got Alex Berry closing in into turn 2, just right rear wheel on the grass, and spins the car slightly forward. Nevertheless, yeah, didn't Curtis have that big wreck last week in Imola? Because there was someone that completely harpooned the barriers at one point. I think it was Curtis. And I'm not trying to add salt to the wounds for him. but it just goes to show that you can try as much as you can. But yeah, I think your purchase will finally be justified, Mr. Crocker. After 3 long years of waiting for the Evo package to jump on board with iRacing. I mean, but still, we're just under, well, we're coming up to the 40-minute mark. I think we're probably going to see, I mean, the fuel mileage is very difficult to judge here in the GTPs, and sometimes, like with Brandon Anderson and Brock Morris, you know, they've decided that maybe, you know, this Caddy's probably a little bit heavy on the fuel load, and it is not exactly a small engine in that vehicle either.
No, it's a very good point. It plays such a large role, and it is something the driver really can control. I truly believe with good save and a little bit of shenanigans pre-race, I think any driver can make up a full lap or multiple of fuel if and when they decide they need to. We have a phenomenon I'm starting to notice here every week, Alex, that we get a GTP car that is running with the LMP2s as though it just exists in the class. And right now, Cody Deek and Decio Lima keep swapping back and forth on track in terms of track position. And it's kind of interesting and funny to watch, but it is actually quite hard to navigate as a driver. When you're the driver like Decio Lima in that LMP2 field, trying to make space, trying to be predictable, you're trying to go back and forth corner for corner with a car with a way faster closing speed. It's one of those things that just, you got to keep an eye on if you're Decio Lima, but finally, somehow, the LMP2 starting to break.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was Matt Mars who's just
nice.
said something, so thank you, Matt. Hopefully we'll have you back soon. Aaron Hatter for the man from Danville, I think that's Danville, Kentucky, currently P12, jumps into pit lane in the number 113 Ferrari, and the Ferrari seems to be very capable, of course, in the hands of Alex Berry. Maicon Ginzoni now jumps into the pit lane from the LMP2 class lead as Michael Odell. Yeah, here we go. This is now at that point where, okay, Decio Lima now is in the pits. Gustavo Ferraro is the first driver to have pitted as John Houston's going to come in. Let's see, is Eshelman going to come in very shortly? He's not that far away from the pit lane entry. No, he's staying out for an additional lap. So the man from Greensburg, PA, carries on and makes his way through T1. John Houston has gone into pit road. Jacob Williams has yet to pit either in the number 14 car, so we are going through the pit stop cycle for the LMP2 class. Maybe the GTP is able to go for that a little bit longer, depending on as Sasha. Whoa! Jay Davis got a big old scare as the man from Motor City, Detroit, Sasha Andrich, gets off the circuit. Now this is going through a very fast part. You can see that the car gets unsettled, turns it in. And here it goes. That was through out of Genderbean. Oh my goodness me. And here's the onboard from Jay Davis. Whoa.
That'll wake
How
you
about
up.
them apples?
Yeah, these races are run at night, but it won't feel like it for Mr. Jay Davis. Oh my goodness, that was close.
Code Brown clean up on aisle 3, and Grillo's needing to bring the mop to clean up Sasha Andrich's mess after that moment of losing the back end at a very fast part of the circuit.
Here comes the race off pit road for the half of the GTP field that is now pitted. So Matsko beats Lopez, and here's Morris. I think he's going to get at least Lopez. It's going to be close on exit. Hot tires. We'll see if he can get by Chase Matsko as well. Matsko, oh my goodness, almost gets tagged there by the getting up to temperature tires of Breno Lopez. I'm curious for Matsko here. He made up quite a bit of time there net over the pit stop versus this. I do think the way these pit stop times are working, either Chase Matsko didn't take tires, which may be the case because he's looking pretty quick right now. Doesn't look like he's warming up a fresh set. But I think Brock Morris maybe had a little bit of lingering damage. I made the point earlier, he's going to pit earlier to look at his damage from that early incident. Not even necessarily to fix anything, but as a driver, it's textbook placebo effect. If you think you might have damage and you feel like your handling's any different, to know if you need to address a handling issue. I often do the same thing. If I'm not sure, if I need to double check if I have lingering damage to know how to drive the rest of the way, I'll come in early just to have the closure, have the monkey off your back. Okay, we're fine. Let's get it going. Let's not blame the car. Here comes pretty much the rest of the field. Salas, Odell, Daniels comes down. John Daniels been start to the day so far. Cody Deek as well, who's become the honorary member of the LMP2 field. Jeremy Eshelman now finally makes his pit service and will be comfortably behind Rio of Gizzoni, Lima, Houston, now just been pipped as well by Gustavo Ferraro. So it is all to play for still down the stretch here in the LMP2 championship. Guy who's currently in a pretty good position for himself, Decio Lima, P2 ahead of his teammate and rival in P4, Gustavo Ferraro, and Eshelman, who's had this one locked up for a fairly long time since he won the season opener. Now Eshelman finds himself on the back foot in points and down in 5th position.
Yep, as we are now 25 minutes of the way through this race. As you rightly said, that double point situation for next week at Watkins Glen for the FMA Prototype Challenge Series really is going to bring things to boiling point. And thereby the drivers know that you cannot, at this stage of the series, we're nearly halfway through our 11th race out of what has been, I will be honest with you, a great addition for the Freedom Motorsport Alliance community, but also for us here on Race and X's, because as you rightly say, we do cover the GT3 series along with the on Monday nights as well as the next gen. So there's a lot of activity, and it's great to have another series from FMA join our broadcast network schedule. And it is, as Marshall rightly said, it is going to continue. As Jacob Williams has just got a meatball flag, so I think he's had an altercation, possibly not with another car, but maybe with the barriers, as Michael O'Dell closing in on the Star Spangled Banner Porsche, as Aaron Hatton, the man from Danville, Kentucky. Oh, I think there's damage to that Ferrari because he's tried to go back onto the circuit. Maybe left rear is compromised, but let's see. Doesn't look too bad, but yeah, Williams has got a mechanical black flag, so I think he's had another altercation. But Houston closing in on the car in front, and that is not going to be an LMP2 car. That's Cody Deek. Running P13 again, just with what Cody's done in the man from St. Louis, Missouri, the hometown of a man very prolific on YouTube as a competitive eater, Randy Santel. So, but at least the good thing is St. Louis, Missouri, also known for its university football, along with Texas A&M. You know, I'm not such a snood when it comes to finding out. I'm learning something new about the culture over in Canada and in North America every single day I'm on this earth. As BA, Brandon Anderson, is the fastest man out on the track. He set a 48.7.
That's a heck of a lap time. That is bad fast, and he's doing so coming off a few laps off a pit stop. He pitted early, so even if he took tires, probably at a tire disadvantage to some other drivers that should be up to speed. Heck of a lap time. 001 car, and a guy that I was talking about, I was projecting, he's going to be up towards the sharp end, might even be a podium threat today with how fast he was in practice. Got a little bit of room to climb right now. He's not too far back net distance to any car in the field except Alan Perry, but does have quite a bit of runway. He's got to start tracking down here. His two cars in front, that's Michael O'Dell and Chase Matsko. He's faster than them now. This will be an opportunity though here, Alex, to see what are the real passing zones, what are the best opportunities. Gets a clean run off this corner. One of them, it's right-hander here. One of the great ones should be this long sweeping 180-degree right-hand turn at the end of the straightaway. It's always kind of a second lane. You try to get out of the dirty area. You try to make your own rotation as clean as you can. Get back on the power. Turn one, just as we saw in the opener there with Salas going down the inside of Jenkins. Great passing opportunity. Let's see what Anderson can do here for P7.
Yeah, and looking at the track temperature, we're at 97 degrees Fahrenheit, which is in the mid-30s. So the tyres are going to be begging for absolute mercy as BA tries to close in on Michael O'Dell, who's done a pretty good job. He's up 4 spots at the moment, but Breno Lopez, hardest charger of the night so far, currently up to P4. Started on the outside of row number 5 and is ahead of countryman Eduardo Sales. They're about 1.7 seconds apart, obviously from the same crew from Vortex Racing Brazil. And again, just with the fact that we are just on the cusp of going through into the second half of this 11th race that we've had. And you know, the only round that I've missed was, of course, when Brian Zinn stepped in back at the 90-minute enduro at Spa, which I did watch, or I did listen to actually, whilst en route to Heathrow Airport with my jet setting, which continues still. So greetings everybody from the Czech Republic from my side here on the global broadcast booth. Yeah, my jet setting seems to be continuing at a big old rate of knots, Mr. Crocker.
It is. You're somewhere different every week. I can't help but say I'm jealous. Trust me, folks at home. I've been in the exact same chair, same desk, same place for every one of these races. I am not the international man of mystery that Mr. Alex Goldschmidt is. Getting lots of cool opportunities in the IRL world as Michael O'Dell dips off track. It didn't even look like he was necessarily making a racing mistake. Looked like he just tucked aside, said, John Daniels, off you go. The O2 car promotes himself up to P8 after starting down in 19th position. Had a heck of a day for himself, making up, pace hand over fist. And he's now starting to run consistently in the 150s when he was a 151, even 152 type driver at the start of the race. Most improved 30 minutes, John Daniels.
Yeah, and who's had the biggest save of the season going through the Joker lap, as we've now called it. He was definitely channeling his inner Ken Block and Travis Pastrana on that one, and did a bit of Gymkhana through out of Genderbean and Le Mans Curve to make sure that he stayed pointing in the right direction, which was something you don't see every day here on FMA Prototype Challenge Series, but what a spectacle, exit stage left, go off track, go on the grass, then, sideways, and then hold it. You don't see that very often, but it just goes to show how big of a beast these GTP cars are to handle, as we've got just over 28.5 minutes still to go. Alex Berry, man from Fairfax, Virginia, leading now by nearly 9 seconds ahead of Brian Scott. And Brian Scott is actually tracking a little bit quicker than the man in the 083, just went 0.8 of a second quicker. So the man in the FMA number 85 Porsche 963 Hybrid, the man from Spanish Fort, trying to chase Berry down. And here goes Brock Morris as he puts another lap down on Gustavo Ferraro, who rounds out the top 3. And, could lightning strike twice in 2 successive rounds for Vortex Racing Brazil, because we've got Ginzoni, Lima and Ferraro, exactly what it was last week when we concluded round 10 at Imola.
It's a great point. They've just been in dominant run of form lately. I get the feeling, the continuity they have in this car. A lot of the drivers have swapped back and forth, and the guys that have been LMP2 the entire season battling for the championship fight, I think they just have a different level of comfort with the car at this point in the season that they're just so dominant week after week. I give full credit there to that trio of the 3 Vortex drivers and then Eshelman for sticking with it, for putting down really good pace. And we see newcomers coming in like Barry in the GTP class, and they're really good right off the bat. That's not to dissuade any of the longtime GTP committed drivers. Anytime a new driver gets in this series in the LMP2 class, Michael Andizoni puts the whipping on them in terms of pace. So it's been pretty clear. That LMP2 grid that we've got is pretty darn special, and even if it's a small class, classification of drivers, there's only 6 running tonight. With how close that championship battle is, every position still makes a difference. It is still just as much a battle. The stakes are still just as high, and Gustavo Ferraro, he's got any pace built up in that car that he thinks he can go track down his teammate Decio Lima. He needs to, or else Lima is going to lead into the all-important double-point finale at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, that's very much the case. And as you rightly said, I have to say, well pointed out about how the Vortex Racing drivers have been doing this. And it's always good when you got strength in numbers when it comes to a crew that are so dedicated and saying, right, we're going to stick to the same class.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whatever else happens around us, we are just going to commit. And that shows due diligence, that shows a lot of motivation, as Chase Matsko has got a very, very big fight on his hands, as here comes Brandon Anderson to the inside here at T1. Is he going to go through? Not quite. But Anderson got the run on Daniels, who was looking to the outside of Chase Matsko, and well, that just goes to show quickly, with 25 minutes on the timer remaining, of course we could see another set of pit stops, or maybe, bearing in mind, Brock Morris pitted 9 laps ago. So you got to wonder as to, you said about the lingering damage earlier on, Marshall. I think it's also now about how long can Brock Morris, the man from Lapeer, Michigan, keep pushing forward, and his lap times are not reflective of pace that we would normally see at a fully charged 100% operational Cadillac, because his last lap time was a 51.0, Scott a high 49.4, Berry high 49.3, so he is losing the best part of a second and a half at the moment to the leaders, and it is starting to show. Maybe it's hurting him, but you've got to look at the bigger picture here. Brock Morris knows that, okay, Anthony Jenkins is out of the race. He's got to do everything in his power to mitigate a potential comeback and a half from the 732, the man from Tampa, Florida, Anthony Jenkins, coming back, firing on all V8 cylinders with that flat plane cranked in 5.5 naturally aspirated V8 next week at Watkins Glen. And I'm sure that Anthony's probably watching the stream, listening to us whilst doing the test session at Watkins, ready for next week. That guy is going to be an absolute weapon, believe you me.
Oh, there is a reason he's won an FMA championship already. He's dedicated. Side by side go Matsko and Anderson down the inside. Brandon gets it to stick. What a gutsy move on the brakes to get rotation while keeping the back end under him. That was crisp, clean racecraft right there. He'd been setting that move up for a couple laps. I love the point you make there about Jenkins, and I think for Brock, what's going to be interesting, and the reason his lap times have dropped off, looking at his pit lane time, he didn't take tires in that first stop. A lot of the field did. That seems to be the hot strategy this season, Alex, in the GTP. You take a late first pit stop, go all the way on fuel, take a set of tires to cut the race as about in half as you can on rubber, have, clean first half, clean second half of tire wear, and he hasn't had the opportunity to do that. I think Morris was trying to save time in case he had to take damage recovery on that pit stop. And as somebody's gone off track here, it looks like it's Eduardo Salas, one of our favorites for tonight.
Oh,
unbelievable after his early start, was P3 for a while. Now falls down to P8, might even lose a spot to Michael Odell. Let's see what happened there. Driver of the 22 car.
Yeah, so let's have a look at the Racer Nexus replay. And Eduardo Salas turns it in right. Back end is going to step out now. And little bit of a love kiss, a little bit of a love tap with the tyre barriers with the front left fender. Just about got away with that one.
Yeah, that one should be drivable the rest of the way. But again, going to lose plenty of track position for a guy that started out so hot, was on the podium after turn 1. As Matsko, oh my goodness, he sent that car out on the brakes, catches a bump, and he almost caught the outside tire barrier. Chase Matsko, Saxonburg, Pennsylvania zone. He is putting it on the line to try to keep with Brandon Anderson there. Wants back in the top 5, and he was willing to get brave on the brakes there through the long sweeping right-hander. Saves it though. Nice catch there by the driver of the 26 as he continues to try to charge forward, running good lap times. But we'll see what Brandon Anderson can do now in that clean air, because again, we saw great pace from him in the pre-race. It's not too far behind Breno Lopez, 2 seconds. Now his gap ahead to 4th.
Yeah, as we are very shortly going to head into the final third of today's race. It is in just 7 days' time. We go to the outskirts of New York to Watkins Glen. Michael Odell now up on the air jacks in pit lane. And that is on lap 20, so not that far away. Track temperature, I have noticed though, as the server time continues to carry on, that the air temp is pretty much staying stagnant, but the track temp has gone down from 97 degrees, so we were in the high 30s, and we're now at 33 degrees centigrade. So the track temperature is going to help the tyres, it's going to keep them that little bit cooler, despite the undulating and abrasive circuit surface here at Sebring. You can just see that it's not phasing Alex Berry. and he's got an 8.4 second lead, so it's kind of a pendulum swing. Brian Scott's last lap was a 48.96, and Berry's last lap was a 49.37. So the man from Spanish Fort is continuing to see if he can chop away at the gap in front of him, but with the way that Berry's been driving the wheels off the 083 Ferrari, it looks like, you could say, a mere formality that Ferrari might win its second race of the series, as Sasha Andrich in he's trying to engage the donuts on Grello there, it looks like, through Adegendebean Bend, the man from Detroit, Michigan, currently running P11 in the class. As Jeremy Eshelman trying to close in on John Houston into T1, and Jeremy not exactly finding the going easy, but we knew it was going to be a case of damage limitation, get the car home, and just make sure that you secure the title in any which way you can, by fair means, not foul, though I might add.
It's so stressful to watch any pass attempt here at Sebring, because with the flat track, drivers are so confident on the brakes, but this track is such a slippery surface that every pass looks like it's about to be the most glorious wreck you've ever seen. Really good race here. I'm impressed tonight from John Houston. He's bounced back well from his incident there that took him off the podium to give it to the Vortex Racing triumvirate there in the last race at Imola. He's done well to bounce back tonight. Vicksburg native, really good pace, and any night that you could hold off Jeremy Eshelman, the series leader for most of the season, that is a pretty successful night there of work. Looking up front there, Brock Morris, the lap time's starting to come in a little bit more effectively. So Alex Berry just a lap ago put up the new fastest lap of the race, 138.6. Brock Morris finally comes down pit road. He'd been running the fastest laps of anybody on track for about 3 laps after we talked about his pace falling off. So he heard us, he woke something up. Now he's finally going to come into pit. Luckily for Brock, he is going to do this race on this stop, and this stop alone. Will not need to take a third with his early pit service.
Yeah, and this is where, again, that was not how you enter pit lane, Mr. Anderson. Just tagged the left front whilst going into pit road. I think maybe the brakes on the back axle decided to spit the car out to the left, and he's caught the barrier slightly. I wonder if that's going to cause any damage to the front aero of the car.
I want to see the onboard of that. See, that came darn close. Let's see here. Coming off, good decision. Oh, it's the brake bias. He actually did catch the wall there. That the brake bias, the back end steps around on him, because when you set the car so far forward with your bias that it gets sharp, that all the balance is off, basically you have more grab on the front, but less stability on the rear. He came down pit road and had it in kind of the attack angle you wanted in as a driver. But as a driver on the track running at full speed, you never brake to 100%. Well, when you come down to pit road, you brake to 100%. You don't change your bias. You don't shift it backwards to give yourself more stability. Back end steps around on you, and Brandon Anderson just found out the hard way there. Luckily for him, is going to keep it on track, and that didn't look like too hard of a shunt. Definitely looked like he had straight steering wheel input through the rest of pit road, but scary moment there for the 001.
Yeah, as that's definitely not one thing that you would have expected. And it just goes to show, you jump into a new car, new class, in a series that you're very familiar with, and then all of a sudden, things just go a little bit awry. And like you said, the brake bias, more rear-end bias thereof, and it's just it's part of the learning curve. And it's quite steep when you make the jump from LMP2 to GTP, am I right, Marshall, on that one? Because there's so much you've got to understand about the GTPs with the the recharge, and then the deploy on the hybrid and everything else. And it's just like, right, I thought this was going to be a little bit of an easy formality, but no, I just put myself out of the frying pan and both feet head first into the fire.
You're totally right. Turning the wheel and pushing the pedals is like 5th on the list of priorities when you run a GTP. It's so stressful. A lot like running the Indy 500 a few weeks ago with the hybrid, the recharge, your GinCar tools. It's one of those things you have to really get experience in these cars to be any good at them at the high end, because it needs to be second nature. The driving, the actually just running your lap, needs to be easy. The rest of, again, the managing your battery, your charge, your stability in the car, all your tools to make your adjustments in an open setup series like this, that is the much bigger, more pressing issue. It's why I have so much respect, again, not just for the winner. Alex Berry tonight is running one of the great races we've seen in a long time, but it's also the guys that are just finishing top 5. Faraz Ibrahim tonight, what a drive for him, for a guy local to me over there in Toronto. The Canadian has had a great night for himself. He's up there in P5 after a good qualifying performance in 7th. Just to do what Faraz has done tonight, that is such a technical night of racing. So many right decisions you had to make to keep that car pointed straight and running fast. These GTPs they're serious. They are no joke.
Yeah, just had a quick check in the discussion channel on the Discord for FMA. Jacob Williams said there was a spot on the wall at the last turn that had teeny tiny wording on it, and I had to look at it. It said requires repairs, 13 minutes.
Wow.
And I'm like, I feel and then Curtis goes, lol, I had that too. So it just goes to show that these drivers are not hanging about. We're into the final 14.5 minutes to go, and the second set of pit stops are happening because Maicon Ginzoni, Decio Lima, the two leading the way in the as you like to put it, the Vortex Racing Triumvirate. I like that word. I haven't heard that word in years. It just goes to show that I'm not the only one that can bring a little bit of, you know, dulcet thesaurus knowledge of being able to use different ways or different words to describe the same thing.
I'm just a history minor. It comes up a lot.
Triumvirate. That's a great word as well. Meantime, fastest lap of the race, John Daniels in the Gymkhana Ferrari. I'm going to nickname that now.
I like that.
The moment he yeah, the Gymkhana Ferrari. I mean, maybe he's got to bring an interesting livery for next week. He's just done a 48.566. So John has really, in many respects, he's had that moment, that clean up on aisle 3, Code Brown, and now he's come through the place where it happened, and look at that, smooth as silk by the number 2 Ferrari 499P. And who's not to say what might happen, because Brock Morris is not on the podium. He is P5 at the minute. He is 3.6 seconds behind Faraz Ibrahim. But bearing in mind, Brock Morris has now taken his final stop. He was on his markers for 19 seconds. And the big thing is that if Faraz has a drama that forgets, let's say, for instance, I only want to do 2 tyres and accidentally does not uncheck the box for all 4, there could be a little fly in my soup, sir.
So I'm actually very curious because Brock Morris had a very short pit stop a moment ago comparative to the other guys who have pitted as well. I don't think he took tires either pit stop, and I'm kind of fascinated to see that, because he's often a guy that is not, he doesn't burn his stuff up, but he's a guy that really uses that fresh set of tires aggressively. He likes to use them more for pace and then take an extra set throughout the race often than many drivers, not less. I'm very interested to see here. John Daniels, if he runs quick enough, I think oh my goodness, look at the back end step out on Brock over the curbing there. Great save by the 05. But John Daniels has a shot. If he keeps up as quick as he's been, he spent most of the day kind of in that P8 territory. He's got a quick pit stop here. He might have a chance to knock, you know, Brock potentially out of the podium contention. That would be a heck of a drive for a driver that, you said it, he was playing Rallycross earlier. He was off in the woods. He's recovered really well, as finally down pit road comes our race leader, and he's done so every lap of the day. Another great drive, and potentially, like you said, could be the second Ferrari victory of the season that's been dominated by Cadillacs.
Yeah, and let's not forget we've also had another victory. We've had a Porsche win this season as well. So more to the point, can Alex Berry be the first one in quite a time to do back-to-back? I don't think have we had back-to-backs this season? I'm trying to remember now.
I'm sure Brock did it at some point.
Maybe, as John Daniels carries on. That's brave. That's brave. He thinks maybe if I stay out a little bit longer, Brock Morris is, well, yeah, Alex Berry is out after 13.3 seconds. Now, with the lead that John Daniels has, I would say this could probably quid pro quo put him P3, but it just depends on if he can hit his markers in pit lane, not have to roll backwards and stick the car in reverse. He's just got to make sure that this is one hell of an in-lap, because the gap between him and Brock Morris is just under 30 seconds as we are heading towards the final 6, the final 10 minutes, as the sun clearly starting to set here at Sebring International Raceway for round 11 out of 12 for the inaugural Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge Series, live here on Race and Nexus. You're in the company of Alex Goldschmidt and Marshall Crocker. But yeah, you said about when we saw that wiggle moment from Brian Scott earlier on. There was a sharp intake of breath from my side of the commentary box, because he was so close to the outside wall coming out of turn 17 at Sunset Bend. So yeah, I think you're right. I think Brock Morris has not taken tyres at all, and he's playing the longer game. It's not always about putting every single lap down as a quali style lap. You've got to make sure that you hit your marks, leave nothing to chance, and leave no stone unturned when it comes to your strategy, as John Daniels is in the pits. Now, this is going to be the deciding factor whether the 0-2 comes out in front of the 0-5 caddy, because if that does happen, then John Daniels will take a podium on debut. Alex Berry now comes through, retakes the race lead, so it's a Ferrari handoff, so to speak. Brian Scott is now going to come out of Sunset Bend and across the stripe. He now will retake second position. And it's going to be so close on time. Brock Morris, 12.02 seconds for John Daniels. Morris across the stripe, and he is ahead. So, Brock Morris knew that that lap had to be pretty much picture perfect. John Daniels, 12.02 seconds on his marks in pit lane. That's not too shabby there at all.
No, that's very strong. He did everything he could. He ran one of the great stints we've seen today. Really exceptional job, as Michael O'Dell has had an incident. After a few moments ago, I saw him. He briefly went off track. He gave up a spot to Faraz Ibrahim. Now he's had an issue that has taken him completely off track. Brendan Lopez will have to serve a quick slowdown for an off-track penalty. New fastest lap of the race. Brandon Anderson runs a 1:48. I will be amazed if we see a 1:47 in pure race pace. I know the sun's going down. I know it's getting cool. 1:48 is rapid. If we see a 1:47, what a night for these drivers. And I love what we're seeing, Alex. Guys further back that, well, they could, accept their fate. I mean, Brandon's 13 seconds back at 6. They could say, night's over. I'm going to phone it in the rest of the way. These guys in P6, 7, and 8 are setting hot lap times all night.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the track temperature has dropped an impressive 12 degrees Fahrenheit since we went green over 52 minutes ago. Yeah, you might be right there, Marshall, in the fact that as the track cools, we know that means it gives pace to the tyres, because they're not having to find and search and hunt high and low for the tyre temperature. And this is where it can be very crucial indeed, because now I'm seeing, well, John Daniels, he ended up about 5.5 seconds behind Brock Morris. So Brock Morris, with 7 minutes to go, is on the verge of making a return to the series after a little bit of time away. Of course, both he and Anthony did have to miss out on some rounds of the series, but it has kept them at the sharp end of the field, because they knew that everyone else would be battling amongst each other. And then when Alex Berry came in and said, hello, I'm not here to make up the numbers, I'm here to race, as Faraz Ibrahim is now going to be battling away with Eduardo Salles, as Michael O'Dell looks like he has called time in the 197 car, as Eduardo Salles gets the number 22 Ferrari so close to the wall. That could have spelt disaster if he'd have gone pinballing across the start-finish stretch, and that could have compromised Faraz Ibrahim in the Porsche behind him. But this is going to be a real nip-and-tuck battle, as Eduardo Salles through into turn 2 nearly has Faraz Ibrahim up his rear diffuser, because Faraz unfortunately missed his braking point there.
Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you those drivers at home who are so exceptional here at the top end of the GTP class, they come so close to that final turn wall. And as a driver, you got to trust me. You don't think for a second you're going to hit it. You get so dialed in. You hit your moments. You have certain landmarks, I call them, throughout the corner. I need to hit this, this, and this, and at a high speed, execute them all. And by the end of it, you wash out. You come inches off that wall. And I need you to trust me. You'd never feel for a second like you're going to hit it. That's how good these drivers are. And the execution, as I undermine myself slightly, Eduardo Salas did go off there briefly. Nice save there. Gets back on track. Just going to have to watch those tires. He's going to be kind of grip compromised for the next little portion of the lap as he's behind, hey, Vortex Racing teammate up there in the LMP2s. It's not Ferraro. It's not Decio Lima.
I think it's Scanzoni.
It's Scanzoni, race leader.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Breno Lopez was mowing the grass a la Valtteri Bottas a few years, like the Flying Finn did at Austria back in 2020. And Maicon just lets Breno Lopez through. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see this man in the 147 move up into the GTP division for the next time around. But we have 4.5 minutes to go. Alex Berry now halfway through lap number 30. And has an 11.8 second lead over Ryan Scott, with Brock Morris rounding out your overall top three. And it is no longer a trifecta. The triumvirate has been broken apart because Jeremy Eshelman now is in P3. He is 3 seconds ahead of Gustavo Ferraro. So unfortunately, it is not going to be a 1-2-3 for the Brazilian squad, Vortex Racing. But nevertheless, it will be more than likely a 1-2, considering the fact that Maicon Gonzoni has got an 18.3 second lead over teammate Decio Lima. Cody Deek has just got the meatball flag. So the number 829 Porsche 963 Hybrid has found the barriers somewhere. And Alex Berry brings us on to what will be more than likely this and well, including this, 3 more laps to go. We're on to lap 31 out of 33. You did say about the 147s. BA Brandon Anderson has just done a 48.001.
It's on the cusp. We'll see if he can break it. Yeah, I talked about it before. He was so quick in practice. He was making nice moves on the start and the practice start. I don't know what's gone on, such that he's so quick, but never really factored into the win tonight. I have to go back and see what kind of happened to him there early on. He's an interesting case. I want to take kind of a look at some guys maybe we haven't talked a ton about as we come to the conclusion tonight. Jay Davis, just a quiet night there in P10 form. Started P12, did move up, but it hasn't really factored in quite as much as he often does. He often finds his way up towards the top 5 area, in these races. Maybe just speaks to the amount of talent, the amount of drivers moving up to the GTP class that gave that class a really, really good showing tonight. Though looks like he will likely come home in the top 10. Sasha Andrich rounds it off there in 11th after he had a couple earlier incidents. Did a good job to get back on track and save it. Bright Michigan zone there, running in the very brightly colored highlighter liveried number 313 car. And, well, it's the only guy left that's, kind of playing a non-factor here in the LP2 class. John Houston, really strong night. The Vicksburg native, just a couple issues throughout the night on execution. Still going to come home top 5, but he's a guy that I think if this LMP2 class sticks around in some capacity, he will be a guy to watch. I like the raw pace I've seen from the 04 car.
Yeah, don't insult Grello. I need to educate you about car liveries, my friend in motorsport, because you just called Grello a highlighter.
I know it's one of the iconic ones. It's just, to me, it's always been, I don't know.
Highlighter.
It's abrasive, for lack of a better term.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's an iconic livery, and of course, we have to say congratulations and many happy returns. 30 years of Manthey now running in the world of sports cars, as we are down to what is now our penultimate lap of the race. John Daniels has got that gap down, and he's just been in a personal best. He's just taken 1.4 seconds out of Brock Morris, and the gap is now down to 2.6 seconds. There they are in the same shot. I think John Daniels has a window of opportunity, despite how finite it might be at this moment in time. Brock Morris is interested in getting as many points as he can on the board, but John Daniels wants to be on that rostrum, and he is really, really charging. He's just taken over 4 tenths out of Morris in that opening sector. Gap now down to 1.8. So Brock Morris is having to control what could be a very wayward back end on that Cadillac. And it's over half a second in the middle sector. As you can see, just look at the way that Daniels is running. Smooth. The back end doesn't look like it's playing about at any time at all. And then you look at Brock Morris. Look, that back end is getting a little bit wayward, and the gap now is down to 1.5 seconds. So Brock Morris is on the limit of adhesion, as Alex Berry is very shortly going to bring us on to the white flag lap with 15 seconds to go out of the final corner. Let's see if we get the nod from Barney on the start-finish line. It is going to be one more lap to go with 5 seconds on the timer. He crosses the stripe. And John Daniels now has just over 2.7 miles to chase down and get through on Brock Morris, the man who leads the points heading into the final double points adventure at Watkins Glen next week. You don't want to miss that one, folks, because that is going to be fire, brimstone, and everything else, including the kitchen sink, as Brock Morris, you can see how much steering adjustment he's having to make to compensate for a rear end that is not tracking as it should do. And here we are on the front splitter cam with John Daniels. That gap is now under a second. And he just took nearly 2 seconds out of Brock Morris that last time around, as Jeremy Eshelman has lost out to Gustavo Ferraro. So the triumvirate is on once again for the second race in a row. But meantime, you can just see, I mean, that's an uncharacteristic mistake from Jeremy Eshelman, because he lost his last lap was a 54.7, and he lost all that time in I think it was sector 1 possibly. He just lost a load of time. But it is going to be the case that, well, one driver here is now having to think of where he's going to have to place that car, because Alex Berry is now 3/4 of the way through the lap, as there you see back end of Brock Morris's car stepping out again, and John Daniels now sees that there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Meantime, let's concentrate on our race leader for just 1 second, as Daniels trying to get through. Alex Berry has done the double, winner at Imola last time out, and it is going to be the checkered flag for the 083 Ferrari of Alex Berry, who's going to take the win. Brian Scott is going to come across the line about 12 seconds later, but look at this. Oh, I'm sorry, Brock Morris, you can't weave like that. That's 3 movements he's done, as Daniels is going to go to the inside. Through at Sunset, Ben goes tight to the wall. This is going to be close. It's going to be the run to the line for P3. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Who's got the grunt out of the corner? It is going to be Brock Morris.
What a finish there to round off the podium. Bit of a love tap there from Daniels. He did not like the weaving back and forth. Little show of frustration there from the newcomer to this series. Not often you see cars in FMA getting physical post-race. You just saw it right there. Hopefully Chase Matsko serves this off-track penalty before he finishes the race. Looks like he did there. He slowed it down to take home P5. Would have actually been disqualified. Pardon me, P6 would have been disqualified if he didn't serve that there, but he does. Around we come through the final couple of corners. Alessio Limas, he's gone off track. He's not done the... Is he done the race? He actually, funny enough, the field behind him is done. So he's going to hold on to P3, but I don't know for a fact he actually finished, unless he narrowly tucked in behind our leaders in the GTP category. But here he comes off turn number 4. What a night once again, as he's done a number of times. Lysone Gizzoni wins it in the LMP2 class. Dominant start to finish performance. Part 1 of the triple header of Vortex drivers. Alex, they've done it again.
Yeah, and we are going to wait to see that there is the man who's done his victory lap again, Alex Berry, twice in 2 respective races. The Cavallino Rampante ramps its way to victory lane, not just at Imola on home soil, but here comes Gustavo Ferraro. It's going to be another second place for the man from South Jordan, UT. So well done to the 777. Gustavo Ferraro, a man who loves his Ford performance and also his Ferraris as well, let's not forget. But Alex Berry does the double, and he's going to put a show on for the fans with the donuts getting underway as we speak. So Alex Berry wins week 11 of the Freedom Motorsport Alliance Prototype Challenge Series here at Sebring International Raceway, winning by 11.9 seconds. Brock Morris rounds out an overall top 3, and he pipped John Daniels by less than a tenth of a second. Get this, 0.86 on aggregate. That's how close it was, and that's another close finish we've had here on Racing X's when it comes to possessions on the field. John Daniels and Breno Lopez ran out the top 5 with Chase Maxco and BA Brandon Anderson rounding out the top 7. Anderson with the fastest lap of the race of 1 minute 48.001. Eduardo Salles, Faraz Ibrahim, Jay Davis, Sasha Andrich rounding out the top 11. Cody Deek out on lap 28. Michael O'Dell lap 26. Aaron Hatter lap 13. Curtis Koeniger on lap 10. And the biggest casualty of the night, championship protagonist Anthony Jenkins out on the opening lap after major contact on turn 1. John Daniels, hardest charger of the night, made up, look at this, 15 positions but 10 in class. What a run for the 0-2 Ferrari that could have taken the podium. But Macon Ginzoni, Gustavo Ferraro and Decio Lima, muito parabéns to the team from Brazil. Vortex Racing sweep the podium for the second race in a row with Jeremy Asherman in P4, John Houston P5 and Jacob Williams unfortunately retiring on lap number 12. With the results now having been concluded here at FMA Prototype Challenge Series for week 11, it's time for me to hand over to Marshall Crocker for our post-race interview show. Marshall, the floor is yours.
Beautiful. Let's get it started with the gentleman who, well, he did what he did last week. It was a dominant debut at Imola. He runs it back again, and he's going to win the GTP class again today here at Sebring. Let's talk to our race winner, Mr. Alex Berry, driver of the number 083 car. Well, we haven't seen much of Mr. Alex Berry, but I get the sense, Alex, you've done a lot of winning in your racing career. Where does this one rank on the list of accomplishments? Was it pretty clear and simple out there up front tonight?
I'll say moderately simple. I think more of the fight was against the car and the tires throughout the whole night. But other than that, yeah, just keep it smooth.
What's difficult at Sebring? I've heard a lot of drivers describe it as one of their most difficult tracks. To the people watching at home, they're probably thinking, well, it looks pretty flat, pretty simple. What is so difficult and technical in the GTPs here?
Well, not only is it bumpy in every single turn and braking point, but at the start, it's extremely hot. And so it is so easy in these cars to overheat the tires or lock up the brakes going in. And a lot of people tend to go too deep into these turns or carry too much speed or just burn up their tires over the run because there's a lot of high load, high speed turns on top of the heat, on top of the bumps. There's a lot going on here, and you have to be so smooth and precise with your inputs to keep the car steady without any issues.
Well, you're a heck of a good driver at figuring it out, and seemingly a heck of a talent overall. You have had an unbelievable start to your tenure here in FMA. You've won. I know that they took back the one at Long Beach, but you've effectively won now 3 in a row to start your FMA tenure. Looking ahead, Monday in the GT3s, we go to Barcelona, and then in the Prototype Challenge a week today, we go to Watkins Glen. Where does the winning end, Alex?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Is there something specific with Watkins Glen we should keep an eye for? What should the fans at home expect for our championship finale?
Keep an eye on the bus stop. Any battles going into there is going to be interesting to watch, especially now that you can't go over the curbs the same way you used to be able to.
Right. Track limits has changed there. It's going to make it much more technical for the drivers. Alex, we'll let you get off to celebrate your second consecutive victory in Prototype Challenge, and I don't think they're going to take this one away here on you. Let me give it. Well, the floor is yours. Anybody want to shout out? Anybody want to thank?
Shout out to all of you guys for setting this up for us and allowing us to have some fun here on Thursday night. Shout out to my team and my boys I was just racing with now. They're all in the voice chat and the other channel. And then shout out to everyone here who was driving tonight and having a good time.
Alex, you're a beauty. You're a great talent, and I look forward to seeing plenty more of you in FMA. Just go easy on us on Monday, all right? We got a championship battle thing going. Go easy. You know, if you're gonna win, just speed off in the distance. Get it done, all right? We don't want no shenanigans on Monday.
Marshall Crocker, famous last words right there.
I have my reasons.
Way.
Good man. Have a great one, Alex. Congratulations on a great drive tonight.
You too, guys. Thank you very much.
What a performance. I don't know about you, Alex. I wish we had seen that 083 car much earlier this season. He would have played a very interesting role in what has been a dominant title for Morris and Jenkins. Getting ready to talk here to Mr. Brian Scott, P2 finisher tonight here in the GTP class. I know it's P2, and I know it was a decent-ish gap forward to Alex Berry, your race winner. But Brian, I think that might have been your best race of the season on true pace. What is it about it here at Sebring that just clicked for you?
I actually got some practice in, and I figured there was no way I was catching Alex. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on just racing my race today and see where it falls until Brock got a little bit close to me. So I had to start turning up the pace a little bit and just kind of went from there.
You took the fastest lap of the race a couple times throughout the course of the night. You're always quick, but certain nights, certain tracks, we seem to see a different Brian Scott. Instead of top 5, you're a podium, maybe even a win threat. What kind of tracks? What works well for you? And maybe as Watkins Glen next week, one of those tracks we might see the 85 car do pretty darn well.
Hope so. I like the Glen. It's a great track. I think my biggest problem has just been trying to push too hard sometimes when I don't really need to and make too many mistakes. So I think I only had like 2 off tracks the whole time. So I was just trying to keep it at that and just race cleaner, more consistent instead of, hey, let me try this, adjust braking points and exit point and stuff like that in the middle of a race, and it just doesn't work. It's like I almost forget. It's like, just stick to what I did in practice and it'll work.
Well, you don't often win the race by finishing backwards, so you're doing the right thing. I always love that consistent approach. Brian, heck of a drive by you tonight. Is there anybody you want to thank or give a shout-out to for P2 tonight?
Yeah, just shout out to everybody in here, man, and Alex for, a hell of a race. Like, I mean, nobody could catch him, keep up with him. And it's unfortunate that Jenkins got taken out, and I was kind of looking forward to how that was going to turn out, because that's always a fun battle. He's really fun to race against because he's not just going to destroy you out of nowhere. And that and everybody else in this league, man, this has been a great season so far.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much, Brian, for your kind words there. And Alex he's a special talent, but give him heck, give him hell, and see what we can do next week at Watkins Glen. Give us a fun finale to round us off.
All right, man. Y'all take it easy. Thanks for the great broadcast, too. It's fun to watch.
Thanks, Brian. There you go. That was Brian Scott, P2 finisher tonight. I said it there. I believe it. I think that might have been the best drive of the season. Number 85 car. Finally, we'll round it off. A gentleman I'm going to see plenty of on Monday in the GT3's in car tonight. Talk to him in the broadcast booth, and let's get it started off, Brock. I feel like it's been a while, but you were the guaranteed he's going to have a photo finish every week guy. You do it tonight for P3. Talk us through those final couple laps there with John Daniels.
Absolutely, yeah. Had a bit of a fuel concern coming to the line. Tried to set the margin as low as I could so I could try and maybe get some of the gap down to P2. P1 was in another league tonight, so congrats, Alex, on the win. But yeah, ended up having to save a little bit, and that gap just shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and I was like, uh-oh, this is not good, and tried to just break the draft down the backstretch. Sunset is so easy to pass if you are just faster there. So I was like, oh, I got to take kind of a weird line through here, and luckily, yeah, I came out on top, so can't complain about that.
Well, we talked about the end. Let's go to the beginning. The very first corner. Talk me through your perspective on the incident there Jenkins had that you ended up getting tangled in. How did you come out with no damage in that?
Well, I mean, yeah, that was pretty frustrating, if I'm honest, because it's like, I don't know, Anthony and I have been for the past 11 weeks, like, inching closer and closer to the title, having a really good fight for this, and like, I don't know, he meatballed and DNF'd tonight, and that was pretty frustrating to me. And then on my side, my car had some balance damage where it was not quite right, and it was just super frustrating. Somebody not being able to keep their pants on in turn 1, but yeah, he went around and I just had nowhere to go. I tried to not hit him because these cars are so fragile, but unfortunately got into the back of him.
Well, let's look ahead. Let's look forward to the finale. Double points. It's going to be fun there at Watkins. What do you got in the tank, and what's the mindset going into a race that you finish? You're in a pretty favorable spot now with the whole Jenkins is in, but do you still go in with your usual attack plan, or are you saying, all right, we're playing the championship fight, not the race-winning fight next week?
Yeah, it's going to be probably a game time decision. Obviously, I'm going to prepare the best I can for it and try to bring the fastest car I can. I got a pretty decent baseline Watkins setup I've built before, so going to try and go for the win, but if no win, then yeah, just going to be trying to bring it home. Nothing crazy.
Know the deal. Anybody at home, anybody want to give a shout out to, or anybody want to thank for a strong, photo finish moment for the ages P3 tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Juicy Spider Studios, High Side Podcast, Kettering University, Kettering Esports, FMA for putting this whole deal on. We're entering the final week, which is kind of insane because it feels like it just started. And then you guys up here in the booth, you do a great job.
Always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday, Mr. Brock Morris. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday. I just hope I'm seeing the front hood of your car rather than the rear splitter. All right.
No, my plan was I was going to see your front hood, and there are going to to be a couple cars in between.
All right. We're done. This guy's heading home. We've had enough of this guy. Goodness.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Have a good one, Brock. You ask a leading question, you expect a leading question answer. I don't know what that was.
Well, you know what they say, Marshall. You ask a stupid question, you get the stupid answer that quickly follows. You went,
whatever.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see your front of it. But nevertheless, always great to hear from Brock anyway. But yeah, we'll see how things go for Monday night when you're back in the saddle again on your trusty Mustang steed.
Well, here's my what is becoming one of my favorite segments. It's now the second week we've done it. I'll leave it up to you, Alex. Do you want to take your weekly recurring segment, interview the Vortex Racing triumvirate altogether, or do you want me to take care of it?
You know what? We haven't got Gustavo here, but nevertheless, I think the honour should be yours this week, my good man, because this is the penultimate week of us doing Thursday nights here on FMA, so I'll hand it over to you, buddy, because it's quite early where I am at the moment, and I don't want to disturb the neighbours.
Alrighty, let's bring him in. Mr. Gustavo Ferraro and Mr. Decio Lima are both here and both available. No mics on just tonight, but we've got Gustavo and Decio, the protagonists of our championship fight. Let's start off there. First of all, we'll go to you, Gustavo. How did tonight go in the championship battle? Because you spent a lot of this race in P4, P5. You recover late. You jump ahead of Decio. What's that going to do for the championship fight next week?
Oh man, that's going to do very good for me. So it's going to be like say last pressure at the end of the race, the last race. Even though the last race is double point, but I just have to be there and be consistent, like I'm being throughout this championship. So, and also I got 0 incidents, so I got an extra point right there today. So it was good. It was awesome.
And certainly that was one that the LMP2 grid wasn't very big today, but I think we can agree pretty much every driver in the LMP2 in that top 5 was all competitive. Like championship leader most of the year, Jeremy Eshelman, spent a lot of that race in P5. How good is this LMP2 grid, and how do you three, the trio of Vortex drivers, how do you guys still find a way to get ahead?
Yeah, man, we put some practicing on that right now lately. Let's say lately in the championship. I think we should have done since the beginning, but lately on the last probably 3 races, we put some hours on the cockpits here. So, and then this I think is bringing us to the top, right? So 2 races consecutive top 3 for Dex in there. So.
Yeah, you've done exactly what you've had to do to bump Jeremy down in the points there. You're going to go in. I think all 3 of you are going to be in the hunt. Actually, you might even have 4 drivers mathematically able to win the LMP2 title there next week with the double points. I'll go to Decio. Decio, you now find yourself, I think, maybe a few points behind Gustavo into the finale. Are you in full attack mode? And what's it like battling a teammate for a driver's championship?
Evening, guys. First of all, as always, congratulations for the amazing live stream. You guys rock. It's more than a pleasure as always participate here, and even after watch the race. But yeah, like I'll make Gustavo words my words like at the end of the season we put some effort on it. I believe he did it too, especially for SEBRING. Like he rocks here on GT3. I took a couple of hours this past 6 days, and I tried my best. I really tried my best. That wasn't enough. And I was dreaming to finish P1, and we race fair, we race hard. We didn't like play like Toto Wolff, whatever stuff that
No
one
team
will
orders.
give the position. Yeah, to another one. Michael won the race, an incredibly driver, like fast as a lightning. And what I can say, Gustavo, he's just consistent. He's incredibly consistent. I'm struggling to not curse, but he's incredibly consistent. It's impressive how consistent he is, and he's on P1 now for a reason. And just one thing, we did P1, 2, and 3 a Vortex podium with Jeremy. So it was a placebo one last time because I felt
That's
that
true.
was,
He wasn't here last week.
you know? Yes. So I'll finish my words thanking my whole team, Vortex. Like, you guys rock. You guys are amazing. And I did coach with Edinho, and I want to say thank you so much for him. I don't know if he's gonna watch. My son in Brazil, Gonçalo. My daughter here, Eleanor. My wife. My mom, and Magandhi, who's here. I believe he's here. Renan, and I have a couple of people who like really cheer for me and like my effort, whatever. And thank you so much, guys. Gustavo, brother, you deserve where you are. You deserve to win this. And
Thank you, man.
Believe me, I did my best today.
Yeah, there's
and
one more.
wasn't enough.
You
was
can
one
Thank you
tell.
so
more.
much, guys.
You can tell. Great performance tonight, Decio. Hello to the entire family, the entire camp watching, and I hope they'll be just as proud of you next week if you wrap it up and win the title over Mr. Gustavo Ferraro. Gustavo, anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out to wrap us up tonight?
Yeah, just thank the team, the Vortex Racing. We all always together practicing and teach each other and learning between us. Also, my wife, my family that supports this little hobby here, so pretty good. And it's Alex there.
Yeah, he's here.
I am here.
Hey, Alex.
So
did you-
congratulations, guys.
Did you see? Did you see the? Did you notice that I put white
On the
rims
wheels.
on my car?
Oh yes, yes, because we did say it's difficult to keep an eye on you guys.
You ask.
So
You ask, and then I made
Muito
happen.
obrigado.
De nada.
He's getting better in Portuguese, eh?
Yeah, he's
Well,
gonna do it.
I know for a fact that Decio, I could say a word here, and I know that everyone in Brazil would understand it, but it begins with a C and ends in an O, and that's all I'm saying on that one.
Okay.
Considering someone
All
did
right.
not want to curse live on the stream, Decio Lima.
No, you can say caralho.
Well, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Just for our friends over our friends and viewers over in Brazil there. But no, guys, congratulations. I mean, like you said, Decio, even with or without Jeremy, you guys ruled the roost. I was going to say, what happened to you? Because obviously Gustavo got P2, and then we saw you still had P3. Did you just decide, well, I've got P3, that's good enough for me, and just like exit the server? Was that the case?
No, I got unfortunately something happened and I totally lost my focus but it is what it is, you know.
So you had an Alex Verts loss of talent moment then.
As Americans say, shit happens.
Well put. Well, Gustavo
Sorry,
Ferraro,
of course, guys.
Decio Lima. Don't worry. Decio Lima, Gustavo Ferraro from Vortex Racing Brazil. Congratulations, and pass on our regards to Mr. Ginzoni as well. He did a great job once again for another race victory, and we look forward to seeing you boys in the battle for the LMP2 title next week at Watkins Glen for the double points finale. Congratulations tonight once again.
Thank you, guys.
Just one thing. If anyone is listening, it's watching or hearing, look for FMA Discord. join to race LMP2 next, because if we put more drivers, I might have a chance to stay ahead of Ferrari.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't
Guys,
listen to
say
please
it.
join LMP2.
That's all I'm going to say, Decio. I'm counting his chickens before they hatch.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Guys, we'll
Go,
leave
go.
you to it, but thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, guys.
I mean, I could ask
Oh.
Rob Campbell if I could do a one-off in-car broadcast, but trust me, I'm not finishing where Decio hopes I am.
No. I think if you try an in-car broadcast, that will be too much multitasking for even one individual, whilst commentating, whilst doing the cameras, whilst behind the wheel of your own sim rig. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, it comes down to us running it one more time in 7 days at the Glen for a 60-minute race that is going to decide it all here, Marshall, for what has been a really, really cool series.
It's been great. I can't wait to see the way it settles out. Heartbroken the way it turned out there for Anthony Jenkins. That one won't be quite as close into the race again. Anything can happen. Double points, he's very much still in play. I'm actually curious to see if Jay Davis is still mathematically in play with the double points as well for the GTP title. But the LMP2 battle, that's the one we're going to have to watch because it's all to play for. And I love when it comes down to two teammates battling it out. That the vibes were good, everybody was happy. And I love hearing from guys like Gustavo, Decio. They have so many great people supporting them at home that no matter who comes out of that one, there's going to be family, friends, hooting and hollering, going to be supporting. And I can't wait to see it. Whoever it turns out to be, tune in next week, this time, June 4th. It all comes to a head, and next week, all the titles are wrapping up here in FMA. It's an exciting time to be part of the series, and he said it there. Link to the Discord's always available. Join FMA and put on great racing like this. And again, you get rewarded for the time you put into the car. You get rewarded with great finishes, and the best prize of all, Alex, us thinking very highly of people as drivers. That's the greatest award you can have.
Yeah, so really that wraps up our live coverage of Week 11, the inaugural Freedom Motorsports Alliance Prototype Challenge Series live on the Racing X's broadcast network. Well, Jenkins did not see this one coming his way. Out on the opening lap as Brock Morris narrowly hangs on to a podium whilst Alex Berry rules the roost in GTP for the second race in a row. The Vortex Racing Brazil triumvirate once again, even with points leader Jeremy Escherman, managed to lock out the podium. But in 1 week's time, get yourselves ready, grab your popcorn and your soft drink beverage of choice, because we're going to have a roller coaster at the Glen. Watkins Glen is the final venue of 12 intense weeks of competition. Who will reign as our inaugural GTP and LMP2 champions? Well, you're just going to have to wait and then see the final chapter, which is going to be unpredictable at best, play out live here on Racing Nexus. You've been in the company of Alex Goldschmidt and Marshall Crocker for the penultimate time this season here in the Global Broadcast Centre. What can we say? The battleground is set. The drivers, the players of our stories will write the pages and the chapters as they see fit, as we will see who will become our inaugural FMA Prototype Challenge Series race winners and champions next week. Until then, race hard, race fair, when in doubt, or you're going to have to go flat out. We'll see you next time.